The next decade of our journey through world history starts in the year 11 AD. From the reign of the legendary King Yu the Great 2,000 years earlier, until the abdication of the last emperor in 1912, China was ruled by a series of successive dynasties. We are now in the period of Emperor Wang Mang's Jin dynasty.
The idea of a mandate from heaven was already developed long ago by the Duke of Chu. It says that a new dynasty is established by a right and just ruler. But those who succeed him become more and more corrupt and inept. This immorality removes the dynasty's divine favor and is manifested by floods, rebellions, and foreign invasions. So how did Wang Mang fare? Well, his dynasty would last only 14 years. Despite, or perhaps as a result of his sweeping reforms and staunch allegiance to Confucianism. Confucius was a philosopher and teacher concerned with the preservation of age-old traditions and values. After Confucius' death in 479 BC, several of his disciples compiled his wisdom and carried on his work. Around 100 BC, Confucianism was already established as the state philosophy. The golden rule of Confucianism is, do not do to others what you do not want done to yourself. All people are essentially equal and capable of becoming a better person by working to develop the 5 core virtues. To achieve this, education is of the highest importance. Confucius believed in a fundamental order and cosmic harmony to which the individual is subordinated. The family is at the heart of his ethics. Here, filial piety and obedience are the most important virtues. Within the family unit, all individuals fall within a very rigid hierarchy. But those in superior positions also have a clearly defined role to play in providing care, support, and guidance to the subordinate members. As within the family unit, so are loyalty and obedience to the authorities the highest virtues on a national scale. At the same time, the rulers are to guarantee justice, security, and economic stability to the citizens. If a ruler would fail in that duty, then a righteous person has the right to revolt. Such a person is considered a son of heaven, and Wang Mang undoubtedly regarded himself as one. Wang Mang was a convinced Confucianist. After he seized power in 9 AD, he nationalized all land ownership. In this way, he wanted to align the distribution of land with the legendary golden age of the Chu dynasty. But his land reforms were much criticized. So much so that criticism was punishable by exile. Nevertheless, his sweeping reforms would last only a few years. Meanwhile, catastrophic floods continued to put the new dynasty to the test. The Yellow River gets its name from the large amounts of fine yellow sediment coloring its water. The large amounts of deposits in the extensive flatlands on the lower reaches of the river have always made that area very susceptible to flooding. Attempts to tame the river with dams may even worsen the problem in the long run. In 11 AD, the Yellow River changed its course, devastating China's most populous area. Displacement and famine, together with droughts and disease, caused the death of an estimated 25 million people. Perhaps half the total Chinese population at that time. This gave rise to the prophecy that Wang Mang was no longer a son of heaven and that the Han dynasty was about to be restored. As destructive as the natural disasters Wang Mang had to deal with were, his own economic and financial policies made it even worse. The emperor elevated his thoughts into rigid laws with such inflexibility that it could only lead to more corruption among officials. The replacement of the Han gold standard with a bronze coinage produced rampant inflation and counterfeiting. When Wang Mang ordered the recall of all the gold in the empire, thousands of tons of the precious metal were seized and stored in the imperial treasury. The dramatic decrease in the availability of gold was felt as far away as Rome. There, Roman Emperor Augustus was forced to ban the trade in expensive silk from China for lack of gold coins. By the second decade, Emperor Augustus had completely reorganized Roman life throughout the empire. His reforms of taxation and the financial system brought stability and stimulated trade and commerce. It also allowed him to invest heavily in construction projects, aqueducts, and the vast network of Roman roads. He appealed to Roman citizens by claiming that he led a frugal and modest life. He called himself princeps, no more than the first citizen. Someone who served only the interests of the Roman Republic. In reality, though, the Republic ended with him. He was in fact the first Roman emperor, and also the most revered among them. In 14 AD, at the age of 75, Augustus died of natural causes. That same year, the Senate enrolled him among the gods of the Roman state. In his will, Augustus had designated Tiberius as his successor. Tiberius' mother, Livia Drusilla, had separated from his biological father in 38 BC to marry Augustus. Thus, when Augustus became emperor in 27 BC, Livia became the empress. After Augustus died and was succeeded by Tiberius, his mother Livia continued to exert her political influence. Before Tiberius received his laurels at the age of 55, he had a brilliant career with many military successes. But as a ruler he was said to be suspicious, somber, and reclusive. It was as if he had never really wanted to be the emperor. Indeed, his life at the service of Imperator Augustus seemed to have brought him little joy. In 11 BC he was forced to divorce from his beloved wife Vipsania Agrippina in order to marry Julia, the daughter and only biological child of Augustus. But it was an unhappy marriage until it was finally dissolved in 2 BC. Tiberius and his family were then adopted by Augustus. In highly developed civilizations such as the Roman Empire, slavery was widespread and played a major role in the economy. Unlike the more egalitarian tribal societies, these civilizations were composed of sharply defined social classes. In more primitive societies where agriculture played only a minor role, slave labor was relatively rare. Nevertheless, tribal societies such as the Germanic tribes may well have had slaves too, usually prisoners of war. But one might even have lost his freedom by playing a game of dice. An estimated 1/3 of Rome's population performed slave labor. Mostly in agriculture but also in domestic work or other professions. They were mostly foreigners, but color of skin played no role in this. Slave markets flourished in every city of the empire. Reason for Augustus to impose a 2% tax on the sale of slaves. This was estimated to bring in about 5 million sesterces per year, which indicates about 250,000 sales. The special tax was raised to 4% in 43 AD. In some cases, as for instance in Central America, a person who defaulted on his debt could be sentenced to work as a slave until the debts were paid off. Prisoners of war served as slaves for the construction of temples or perhaps as human sacrifices. In China, the development of a system of landlords and peasants led to less slave labor being used in agriculture. The Han Dynasty even passed laws to limit the possession of slaves. As a result, Each king or duke was allowed to own a maximum of 200 slaves. An imperial princess was allowed a maximum of 100 slaves, and other officials were limited to 30 slaves each. Further to the west, the Indo-Scythians continued to expand their influence on the Indian subcontinent. In the holy city of Mathura, the birthplace of Krishna, we see a sandstone capital on top of a pillar. This Indo-Scythian lion capital displays a triratna, symbolizing the three jewels of Buddhism: the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. It is also covered with inscriptions in the Kharosthi script of northwestern India. It describes, for instance, the donation by a Scythian queen of a stupa with a relic of the Buddha. On the coast of Peru we encounter the Nazca. They are known for the mysterious Nazca lines. But they also build underground aqueducts to provide water for irrigation and domestic purposes. Several dozen of these puquios are still in use today. More than 2,000 years earlier, the same area was populated by the Kharol civilization. This period was parallel to the heydays of Egypt and the rise of urbanization in Mesopotamia. The Kharol Soup complex was one of their largest cities and is dated to around 3000 BC. To provide for their food, these peoples relied mainly on fishing rather than agriculture. Strikingly, no signs of warfare such as walled cities or weapons of war have been found. See you in the next decade.